as far as I know, my mom and my dad lived in the same neighborhood. So they knew each other since they were really young. Like, I want to say about like 17 years old, if I'm not mistaken. When she was about 20, I want to say 21, she was pregnant with me. My grandma was married to a very old-fashioned Italian man at the time. So he made them get married because she was pregnant. So I was at the wedding. I don't quite remember it, but I was there. They were married till about I was like 5 years old, and then they got divorced. This was all in Cuba because I'm Cuban. And when I was 5, they divorced. When I was 6 years old, we moved to a different country. So I don't, like, I know my dad obviously, but I don't really know him like I would like. But my mom was always there. It's always been my mom and my grandma. So I've always had very like big female like influences in my life.
So my dad was older. He was, I believe, 31, 32, 33, something like that. And he didn't care that I was around. He was kind of just like, okay. That was it. That was his reaction to my whole existence. My mom was very excited. She planned me. Even though she didn't tell my dad, she planned me.
My parents were divorced when I was 2. So I just grew up with my mom, and I would go and see my dad for visits. I have an older sister, so I was the youngest of, well, I have 3 older sisters, so. Yeah, growing up with all girls and just a mom, it was a lot of woman power.
Me and mom were always really close. She's always had me be really open with her, so she was always the mom that I was able to talk to about everything, you know, the friends that I had, and even though sometimes they weren't necessarily like good things that I was doing, I was always really open with her. Like, she always like taught me how to be honest with her, because she was the person that in any point would, you know, throw down and help, which is what she's always done. So she's always been really present and supportive, and yeah, like, that's what I remember. I remember her raising me right to have my own opinions about certain things, like including my dad. Even though he wasn't always very good to her, like, she's always had me have my own opinions about my dad. Like, I never heard anything bad about my dad from my mom, and that's the kind of person that she always was to me.
She did a lot. She had 4 jobs. She worked really hard to get us whatever we wanted. I remember one Christmas she wanted to get us American Girl dolls, and she worked her butt off to get us every accessory for that doll, and it was like awesome, you know. And you, as a kid, you have no idea that she's like this superhero. Teenage years were interesting, a lot of arguing, but it was more of like me building respect for my mom. I may have not liked her for a solid year, but that woman is very determined, and she pretty much made it her mission to work those attitudes out of me. So yeah, I think growing up in teenage years, I think that her and I's relationship kind of drifted in a sense, you know, but she was always just there for me, just hovering, waiting, you know, letting me do my thing. Which was perfect.
Some of my earliest memories of my mom are like when my parents got divorced, because it was just me, my mom, and my brother. And, you know, we rented rooms from places. We slept in the same bed. You know, it was just the 3 of us. It was like the 3 Musketeers. My mom and I had issues connecting. You know, my way of connecting was helping her with the kids. But I connected more with my grandmother on like a motherly level at that time. My grandmother was who I kind of went to for like sort of that motherly love, you know, like the hugs and the kisses, and not that my mom wasn't affectionate, because she was, but it was different with my grandmother. It did change after when I got a little older and she started drinking. It changed a lot. You know, I definitely took more of a role in, you know, making sure that the kids did go to school every day, and that they did go to Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and after school programs. That was the whole reason I got a driver's license, was so that I could drive them around, because my mom was drinking at the time. Yeah, so my mom and I had a separation. Definitely, probably from the time I was about 16 to when she got sober. No, after that. It was probably around the time that Jade got sober is when my mom and I actually started having like a really true, honest like relationship. Before then it was just kind of going through the motions for my grandmother's sake. I mean, we loved each other. We just couldn't necessarily connect. That came later. That came later for sure.
Okay, I came out when I was 17, and it was very like impromptu even for me. I realized that that's why I've felt so awkward before with boys, and you know, I never could relate to other girls like about other boys like them, and it was always really weird for me. And then as soon as it hit me, it was like full force from them. Like I never held back. Like I never hid the fact that I was attracted to a girl or that I was dating a girl. So she just kind of found out, and she actually told me. She was like, so I'm like, I know that this is what's happening. Like, I know that you're gay. And I was like, oh my God, no way, how? She was like, well, you put it on Facebook. So that gave it away.
She already knew. She knew since I was 6 years old. She we're very Catholic upbringing, so my mom was into missions, and my mom was actually a youth director for a very long time. So when she would go off to her retreats, I'm this gay 6-year-old growing up trying to be a little boy at the same time, you know, not understanding why people are calling me a little boy when I'm clearly a girl, but I like girls. And it just, I think for my mom, she really needed healing in that regard from the religion, but she's such a strong person. She has her own spirituality. So I think that throughout me growing up, it just was her letting me in my process happen. So it was, yeah, I think my mom was awesome, especially when I told her that I was gay. I was in high school by that time when I decided to verbalize it and make it known. And she just looked at me and she goes, I knew, you know, thank you for telling me though. So yeah, it was awesome to have a mom that accepting and not be surprised, you know, it's traumatic. So I'm very blessed.
Well, my mom had always kind of suspected that I was gay. She'd asked me from a very young age if I was a homosexual or a lesbian, and I always told her no. I was very outgoing but reserved when it came to like dating, so I mostly just hung out with girls because I'm a big old lesbian. So So it was something I avoided for a long time, even though I knew, like, I just wasn't ready to, like, put some sort of label on it, because I feel like labels are so permanent, and I knew I was sure, but I wasn't knew if I was sure I was ready to tell everybody. So when I told my mom, it was after I told my brother. I told my best friend that day. I picked my brother up from somewhere, I don't remember, but I picked him up and told him I was gay. And he was like, that's fucking sweet. Now we can start checking out girls together. And I was like, yeah, pretty much. So I waited. I did not tell my mom right away. I think I probably waited a couple weeks because, once again, she was drinking a lot. And really didn't have time in her world to know that I was gay. And not because she didn't want to know. She's not homophobic by any means. It was just she had her own issues to deal with. And so when I did finally tell her, it was because I received an email from my biological dad saying, I don't know. Not that it even matters because he was irrelevant. I just was a teenager and needed to get mad about something. So he said something about me bringing home a dyke or something like that, and I told my mom about it, and she was drunk, but she was nice. Like, she was like, well, you know, you can bring a dyke here, it's fine, you know, like, she was very, you know, welcoming of the idea. But the next day when she woke up, she completely forgot that we had this conversation, and that it was extremely emotional for me. So she asked my brother, do you think Ashley's gay? And he was like, yes, yes, we know this. So yeah, I came out to her a couple different times. I don't think it really set in though until I brought home Jade. And then she was kind of like, oh, this is a lot. This is what gay is. Oh shit. But she was still supportive.
She she was raised by someone like my grandma, which is somebody that comes from a different generation and, you know, doesn't fully understand what like gay is. And it's somebody that when found out that I was gay had to have like some sort of professional help to tell them like how to deal with this. So just thinking about that, I understand why it was a little hard for my mom. Like she wasn't fully okay with it at the beginning. It was never like I'm gonna disown you. Like she was always like, I love you and I'm always gonna be here for you. But she always had that hope that it was just a phase, like in the back, you know what I mean? And obviously she realized that it's not a phase. And now recently she's coming around like a lot more, especially because I'm dating someone new and she happens to like this person. So it feels a lot better. Like the vibe from my mom about the gays, it's a way better now than it used to be, because it was always really awkward because I couldn't really bring it up, or when I did, it was just kind of like shut down and let's talk about something else that it's not as important. But in that moment, she didn't want to hear it. And it's something important to discover about yourself, because it's something that you know it's going to change your life completely, and it's going to change everybody's life around you completely. So not having her support there was hard, but I got really lucky and I had other people there for me. And you know, I've a culture that taught me that like there's nothing wrong with this, like it's okay, you know what I mean? And she just needed her time, and it was nice that while she took her time, I was doing good things and I had good people around me. So when she came around, I was like, welcome. We're all here waiting for you.
She didn't want us to hold hands in front of my siblings, and I told her that was not gonna fucking happen. That's stupid. Why would I ever not show love to somebody that I love, like, in front of my siblings? I'm gonna show them what this is. I'm gonna show them that this is love. I don't think it was necessarily that she had a problem with it. I think it was more of, you know, regardless of how much, you know, you're open to certain ideas, I think sometimes there is a level of acceptance that everybody has to go through. And I think that she had to get to that level, because even though she does not care that I'm gay, she doesn't care if anybody's gay. When it's your child and you have expectations of what you think their life is gonna be, and then it takes a hard turn, you know, I think that is what they have to get used to. You know, fundamentally, that's what they have to get used to, because my mom's not homophobic, she's not religious. I mean, she's spiritual, but she's not, you know, she's very accepting of everything. But I think that it freaked her out a little bit to see her daughter, her very nerdy, reserved daughter who never brought anybody home. And here I am bringing home this Amazon person. I think it was just weird for her to see.
Things are definitely more open now, and it feels good. It feels good to get a text message from my mom that's asking me, like, you know, how are you? But then she corrects herself and includes, like, my partner in it, and how are you guys? And, you know, like, that feels really nice. Like, we went from, like, totally ignoring the fact that I was even dating to her asking how my partner is. So, like, that's really good. I mean, we have a good relationship. We talk almost every day. If it was for her, we would be on a phone call all day long and never hang up and just like live our lives on the phone. You know, I'm an only child, so I know that when she gets really old and gray haired, that I'm gonna have to like return the favor and like be there for her like she was with me when I was like little and gross. And I'm excited. I'm not excited for her to get old, but I'm excited to return the favor one day and be like, I'm gonna take care of you now.
When we started to repair the bridge little by little was when Jade got sober. My mom took Jade to her first meeting, and from that point on, I felt more comfortable to talk to my mom because she had been sober for a very long time at that point. So I felt like she had been sober long enough to understand where I was coming from as a wife, and still so much into her sobriety that she could guide me as to what Jade might be feeling. I mean, she still is an alcoholic, she just doesn't drink. Her recovery is an everyday thing. So that's probably when it started. She kind of came like human to me after that. Like I could kind of like relate to her, you know, for the first time. That's when it started. When my grandmother got sick a couple years later, that's when she and I really truly formed a bond, because I was going through a divorce. Her marriage was at the end of its course, so we could relate on that end. We were both trying to get back on our feet after our partners left us. The person that we loved the very most, my grandmother, her mother, was very ill, and we took care of her. So that was like, that bonded us for life. No matter what happens, we are bonded because of that. We went to war together and, you know, like, yeah, so.
If I was ever to be a mom, which I doubt, but if I was ever to be a mom, I would want to be half of the mom that she is. There's a lot of situations in my life that I could have been, that could have changed me, and I could have been like a completely different person, but because I've had her and, you know, her life lessons and her advice and like everything that she gives me, I'm who I am today, and I'm really happy with who I am, and it's because of her. So thank you, Mom.
I love her to the moon and back. I mean, there's like this little stick figure that we always draw on all of our cards that we give each other, like little notes. And it's just like this tiny little person with these abnormally large hands. So like I would draw that, and then XOXO. So I think she would get the message.
She is absolutely my hero. You know, it took me a long time to be able to understand where she has come from and what she's been through, and I get it, and I'm sorry that we weren't able to connect before, but I feel like everything is meant to happen for a reason, and if we hadn't gone through what we went through together, we would never be bonded in the way we are now. So she is my hero because I have watched her literally walk to hell and back, and did it while making sure that every single one of us were okay. Every single one of us. She made sure that we know that we are loved, and that no matter what happens, she's gonna be there for us. And you know, I don't know, she's fucking awesome, and I'm so happy she's my mom. I love her.
She's the best, and she's hardcore, and she's mine. She's my mom, and I'm supposed to be an only child because I would be stingy and I would fight my siblings because she's my mom. And it's just mine. So that's it. She would ask me when I was young, do you want any like brothers or sisters? And I would be like, no. You're mine and I'm yours. And this is how it's gonna be forever. So